everybody. My name's Cheryl and this is my new channel and it is called Garnet Stitchery. Welcome and thank you so much for being here. Some of you guys might know me from a previous channel I did with one of my really good friends, Jeanette of Bella Rose Needleworks, and basically like our lives are so busy that trying to get together, it's hard to film because filming takes time, right? So we decided to stop doing our channel, but I still wanted to be able to share with you my love for cross stitch, quilting, wool applique, books I might read, you know, all the fun things that when you're doing a channel with another person, it might just take too long because we both talk about it and then it's like 5 hours long. So today, as you will have seen, it's going to be a little introduction about myself and then a WIP parade of all of my WIPs. I figure that since some of you might not have ever seen our old channel, it's a great way to introduce you guys to the things that I like to stitch. This is my sewing corner in my living room. It's filled with all the fun things that I love, and I'm blessed to be able to have a corner to be able to create. So this is probably where my filming will be from, you know, going forward versus in front of the quilt wall. But if you ever want to check out our old channel, it's still there. It's still active. Jeanette and I are still best of friends and we still talk to each other pretty much every day. And so, yeah, so if you want to see the old videos, you can totally go back and check them out. But for now, I'm going to be doing my own channel with under my business name, which is Garnet Stitchery. So again, thank you so much for being here. And let's get into it, right? Okay, so here's the thing. I like to do book a days, but my book a days, I felt like needed more stuff in it. So I decided to go ahead and add in extra pages and have it bound, like spiral bound. I decided to add a few pages that had my kitted projects in it so that I can remember what I have, because yeah, so if you guys are interested in a stash dive, let me know. But I have all of my like some pages with all of my works in progress, because a WIP parade is a works in progress WIP parade, where we're going to show all of my stuff, right? So I have it broken down by theme. I also have a list of every single WIP that I have in general. And I like to do that so that if I decide I want to stitch on something like a specific theme, like I'm feeling like patriotic, I want to stitch patriotic, I can just go to this list of WIPs and look at what I have and kind of pick from there. Or I just spin a wheel and choose a new project, because I do that. You will find that in my WIP parade, I have a lot of starts that are WIPs, because I also like to do New Year's Eve 12 by 12. I did do it this last year, and it for 2024, and I did some restarts, new starts, and you guys will be so proud of me, because if you know me from my previous channel and from my Instagram, which is right here, ShareBear0607, you will know that I don't often finish projects. I'm a process stitcher. I like all the process, but I did start a new stitch by Heartstring Samplery. It's called Next Door. And this is what it looks like. So I am sending this off to my sister for her birthday, and she doesn't know, so hopefully she doesn't watch this. I won't tell her I have a new channel yet, then she won't watch. But anyways, I stitched this on 32 count, and it was a mystery linen from a Friday fight night of Be Stitch Me's. And I use the called for threads. So I'm not sure exactly what color this is, and she didn't either. I think it was just like a one-off Bee Stitch Me that I won. And this stitch was super fun. I started it New Year's Eve and I finished it like, I don't know, the first like couple weeks of January. So anyways, so that is a finish that I did from my New Year's Eve 12 by 12. So yay, already a finish, right? So now let's get into WIPs. I have, like I said, I have a list of WIPs by theme, and I'm going to pretty much go off of that, just to make it easier for me to know what I'm talking about, because I have a lot of WIPs. I have a lot, and I'm okay with that. So first things first, we are going to talk about my new year, new start that I house in this box that I decided to Mod Podge some fabric onto. This is Blackbird Design Fabrics. I got the idea from So Tattered. I love her. She's just like so creative. Anyway, if you don't watch her channel or follow her on Instagram, you really are missing out. So anyways, I decided to go ahead and put all of my stuff for this stitch. And it is the Chatelaine, and it is Sleeping Beauty's Castle. I will put a picture of what it looks like over here so you can see what it'll look like when it's finished. Like I said, this was a start, and I worked on it like 2 days. And I do have a PDF copy of the pattern because it's just easier. And so it's on my iPad. But there isn't really a picture. There's like a rendering. So this is what I have so far. This is the center medallion. And I am stitching this on 28 count Lugana in the color Olympia. Olympia by Mystic Fabrics. And you will find that I tend to use this color fabric a lot. It's a really great neutral. From here, like, it looks like just white, or like really super mottled. And in person it is mottled, but it's not as mottled as it looks on the screen. So that's interesting. But so you can see that this is ginormous. Okay. It's huge. It's like 350 stitches by 349 stitches or something crazy like that. It's the biggest WIP I have, and I just started it. So this is going to be one of those ones that is going to take me like a million years. So, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. So that's that one. The next one, which was also a New Year's Eve start for 12 by 12. I am in the process of stitching all of the word plays by Brenda Gervais with a needle and thread. So, oh, that's glary. Sorry. So I stitched January, which I also finished. I finished it in December. So this is the January. And I have like a Priscilla change out situation, so I have like the washers and magnets and stuff, and this is just the really simple finish that I just whipped up. Some vintage buttons from my grandma's tin, and this was on Platinum, I think, by Weeks Dye Works, pretty sure, 36 count. So yeah, so I finished that. But right now I'm working on, I already had February done. I finished February like years ago. I don't know. I started with February. Why? I can't tell you why. I don't know. I just work here. So I decided to go ahead and, after I did the January, I'd go ahead and do, March. And this is where I've got to. So I realized that when I ordered the threads, I didn't order the right thread for the house. I didn't order the color. It's like parchment by General Art. And I think they didn't have it at 123 Stitch, or I don't know. I don't remember, but I was realizing as I was stitching that I didn't have the correct colors. So, and this is on 36 count linen in the color Heartland by Picture This Plus. And it is housed in my chicken bag by So Much to Love. So that's my first WIP. And I really am enjoying the stitching on this because it's kind of just one of those ones where you pay attention, but you don't have to pay attention a lot. So it's nice when you're watching like a TV show or something like that. I've been watching The West Wing. I've never watched that before, and so I decided to start watching it, and I'm like, wow, that show's crazy. So anyways, so that's where that one is. The next WIP I have is in this bag that I got from a Frogwarts box. And I'll talk more about Frogwarts when I get to those WIPs. And this stitch is a Dirty Annie's Southern Style stitch called Good Heart. And I am stitching this on Ween Beans 36 count linen in the color Ween Beans by Needle Bling Designs. And I started this with two friends. I started with Jeanette and my friend Andrea. And I'm kind of just pulling threads that I have in my stash. So like this is a silk, like a Belle Soie that I had that was close to the green that I had. So I'm kind of just pulling colors that I already have. And if I had the called for, then I'm using it. But I was trying to just stitch from stash with this one. So 36 count Ween Beans, and I'm pretty much doing that center little break right there, right below the lady. So that's where I am on that one. And the next one, I have all of my WIPs in baskets, like the bags over here, and then I have like the WIPs. I ironed my WIPs, which I know I ironed all my WIPs and have them here so they could look real nice for you guys. Okay, so the next one is called His Name is Jesus, and it is by, I know who this is by, Joyful Expressions. So it looks like this. And really you can just use whatever colors you want to use. I am choosing to use, let's see, I have Gentle Art Deep Sea. I have Water Lilies in the color Spearmint, and Ultraviolet, which is like this purple by Weeks Dye Works, and then the color Bethlehem. And I am stitching this on 32 count linen in the color Fawn by Picture This Plus. And so this piece has a story. I had originally started it for Lent a couple years ago, and that was a really bad plan because that was when I still worked at a shop and I was in charge of market. So I kind of wasn't able to stick to my original plan, and then I started working on it later, and I realized that I had messed up in like 6 places. So I had to literally frog everything that I had stitched. And so I decided to not stitch the part that I had started before and started in the center. So I am working on the H for His Name is Jesus. That's where I am. And at the center, the His Name is Jesus part is going to be in the color Bethlehem by Weeks Dye Works. And then all of the other colors are a complement to the color Bethlehem. So that way it's you know, complimentary and it looks pretty and stuff. Okay, and the next one, my friend Amy, and she has a floss tube also, X Stitching and Adventures, here on YouTube and on Instagram. I have always loved this collab by Hands On Design and Summer House Stitch Works. It's called French Cuisine. So there's 5 designs. There's the center, you know, what are they calling? I don't even know what they're calling. It's like the box, right? And I have all the stuff. I have the board. I have like the little charm things that you do for the box. So these are all the designs. And I know that Amy has stitched, I think 2 of these, or she's on the second one. She decided to stitch this part first. And I am a terrible friend, and I tend to do what I call start-alongs, because I will start something. Also, my puppy is here, my dog. Her name is Sylvie, and she's trying to get to the window. And can you stop stitching that? Thank you. Or stop sniffing. Thank you. So I have kind of not been able to work on this. I haven't really had, because when I started it, it was probably a not great time to start something, but here I am starting things because that's what I do, right? And I'm stitching this not on the called for color. I don't even know what color I started this on. I'll put it, oh, here it is. It's on fawn. It's on the other half of fawn from the last piece. So literally where I started was in the center of the box. So like this frilly bit right there, that's where I am. That's as far as I got. And I think I worked on this like a day. But like when I say that, you know how some people, when they're working on something, they say that they're working on it for a day, but they mean like hours. I don't have that kind of time because I homeschool 3 kids. So I don't have that kind of stitching time. And if I do stitch and I have an extended amount of time, it's because I'm like at a practice or something for my kids. Or I actually have time because my kids are at an event that I don't need to go to. And my husband just took them. So it's usually baseball related. You'll find that our kids are in baseball. So okay, so I'm working on that with Amy, and she finished her WIP and started another one, and I'm still on the first one. And anyways, it's great. Really good starting, you know? That's what I'm good at. I'm good at starting things. Okay. This next one is a Blackbird Designs. And I originally bought this when it was an exclusive from Traditional Stitches up in Canada. And I started this as like an anniversary piece for my husband and I. And I also did do their silk conversion that they did. This bag was made by my friend Judy for me. I think it was like a birthday gift. So it's by Fabrics to Die For. Fibers to Die For silks. I don't know anything about this company other than this design. So I hope that I don't need more. I don't know if they're still in stock or if they still do threads or not. I'm not sure. So I'll have to check that. But anyways, these I am stitching mine on 36 count Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit. And this one I started when I said I was going to start it, and then I had to frog because I realized that I was too close. I didn't give myself enough margin. And so I had only worked on it a little bit, and I just frogged what I had and restitched it. So that's as far as I got on my restitch, which is pathetic and sad. Oh well, that's life. Okay, so this section of WIPs is stuff that kind of just doesn't really have a theme, I guess you could say, that fits in what I'm going to be talking about with other that are clearly a theme, right? So this next one is called Map of Cochrane Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. And, you know, we've all seen this on the floss tubes, and we've all been enabled. And we've all been enabled to start a stitch that is a hawk run. Who doesn't want, I mean, who doesn't want to start a hawk run hollow? Even people who are full coverage stitchers, they tend to do one. I just find that interesting that everybody just, like, they're drawn to them. There's one for everybody. I really like the spring one. So this bag is by Bella Rose Needleworks, which is also Jeanette. And I decided to do my stitch with the Vicki Clayton silk conversion. So that is the silk conversion. However, I have decided that I am going to do a little bit something different in the water, because it's just this one blue color right here. It's like a blue gray. And I decided that I wanted it to look more like water. So I decided to have little blurbs of water that are this darker blue. It's a Belle Soie. It's called Petticoat Blue. So when I get to that part, which obviously you'll see that I am not nearly to that point yet, but I was supposed to be doing a hashtag with my friends, hashtag Sundays at Hawk Run Hollow, and I have failed miserably because we started this last year in 2024. And I think there's only one of us or maybe two of us that have actually stayed on the wagon, and the rest of us are terrible and we aren't actually doing it. So I worked on this a couple weekends ago. This is 36 count linen in the color Bradley by Grace Notes Fabrics. Let me get this behind it. So, okie doke. So the next one, the next section that I have is Mirabilia's. And okay, so for this one is for me. This is Nora Corbett. And this is her Zodiac Girls Aries. Because I'm an Aries. I mean, even though I don't really believe in that stuff, but, you know, it's fun. It's a fun stitch. And the color, okay, so this was literally just started. I started right in the center, I believe, and I did not get far. I think I worked on it like for an hour one day, maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. It's pretty pathetic, the start I have. I mean, like, look. So, yeah. The color of the fabric. So this is the color Moss by Picture This Plus. So if you look at the colors on here, it's a lot of purples and pinks and golds. Like, they're going to be divine, right? Julie finished hers. I don't remember what her color green was, but that's what inspired me to stitch this on a green. And I think that was why I didn't start it sooner, because I was... The next one that I have is... This is in Bella Rose Needleworks bag. The last one was in as like a regular bag because I don't even have... That's how much of a start it was. I didn't even have a bag for it. It's pretty sad. Okay, so this is Cathedral Woods Goddess by Mirabilia. Okay, so this one, also, if you hear like crunching sounds, my dog is chewing on her toy. So there's that. Okay, so this is 32 count Country French Latte by Witchelt, and then I dyed it like a lot. So again, the lighting is bad. I have a light up there. I might turn that on. So I've worked her torso. And then all of these empty spaces are like jewels, like treasures by Mill Hill. And this was a gift from a friend, and I really need to just get back to it because it's pretty pathetic that it's not done. Because this isn't even like a big one. Like Mirabilia's, the queens are like the giant ones, or like the ones that are full coverage, like Christmas in New York or whatever it's called. Like it's a whole scene. Yeah. Okay, so the next one I have is probably the first Mirabilia chart that I actually bought. But I didn't start it. I don't know. And this is Silver Moon Tea by Mirabilia. Okay. And I started this for New Year's Eve 12 by 12, 23 going into 24. And I'm using one of these like vinyl bags because it matches, because purple. By the way, I love this. So this was stitched on 32 count linen Peaceful Purple by Witcholt, because I don't mind Witcholt. A lot of people don't like it because it's like crunchy or whatever, but I like it for Mirabilia's because it's crunchy. Does that make sense? Because you kind of need that, you kind of need it for the beads and the treasures for it to kind of hold itself, I guess. I guess that's the explanation I can give for that, as everything is falling. Okay, so this is a square, so that's the top. Okay, I had to figure out which part was the top. So this is how far I got to. For my New Year's Eve 12 by 12, I tend to do like 2-hour blocks so that I could actually get some stitching in. So this is not what Peaceful Purple looks like by Witcholt. I overdyed this. So this is the bag that I have Winter White Santa in. So this is how far I got to. I will insert a picture of what Winter White Santa looks like over here, so you can see where I've got to. This is a 32 count. So this was also a restart. Something I have learned about myself, because I've only been stitching about 6 years, like for real. I stitched a little bit when I first got married almost 20 years ago, but like it was just kits. So that's all I knew. And one thing I realized about myself in stitching is that I don't like plain fabric. If it's an overdyed fabric, or if I tea dye it myself or something, I tend to enjoy the stitching process more. And originally I had started this on 32 count Twilight Blue Linen by Witcholt, because that's what it calls for. And I just was not inspired to work on it. And I was really sad because my boys got this for me and I just didn't want to pick it up and stitch it. And it was so sad. So I literally only had like this little red like loopy part right here. That's all I had on it for like a year because I didn't want to work on it. So I decided to frog that out. And so I overdyed it myself with like aqua and like navy blue and all sorts of colors to make it look like a winter mottled color. That's what I did with that. And then I just was off to the races, right? Like look how far I got. And then I tend to be a seasonal stitcher, so I'm not really interested in stitching on things out of the season. And so this has been sitting for a little while, and I actually did not work on this at all in 2024 unless it was like, okay, so the next one I have is Mermaid Perfume by Mirabilia. Sorry. She's got her little squeaky toy now. She's moved on from the bone. And I am stitching this on, I think, 16 count Mystic by Picture This Plus. And I decided to stitch this one on Aida cloth to prove a point. That you don't, everyone thinks like, oh, you can't stitch a Mirabilia on Aida. Like, they just assume that. And I'm like, why? Why not? Like, yeah, there are some quarter stitches. There might be a half stitch here and there, but a majority of the time it's just a full stitch. like full cross with backstitch. So I don't see why you can't do that. You know what I mean? So this was to prove a point that this is on Aida cloth, and you can't even tell that it's on Aida cloth. You don't see that. You see this and then the color of the fabric. Does that make sense? So this is how far I got to. All of these empty holes will be beads. Okay, so this next one was also a restart, and I cut my fabric, and now I'm questioning my judgment on that because I feel like I shouldn't have done that. So I have the actual chart, but I don't keep it in the bags because it's Queen of Freedom by Mirabilia. And I am not trying to have that chart get ruined by child or dog or getting smashed or whatever. So it is in with my regular charts. Anyway, so I'm stitching this on 32 count linen in Vintage Sahara by Zweigart, and it was a bit, I feel like the printed fabrics by Zweigart tend to be more stiff than regular fabric, like regular, like over dyed, or like even like a plain Zweigart. So I don't know, I don't know, it wasn't very fun. So I ended up frogging what I had and restarting it and putting it on like a scroll rod. And is the chart here, and that is Siren in the Shipwreck, and this is, what is, they all have numbers, MD 125, and this was given to me by my kids for Christmas, and I am stitching this on 32 count Fathom by Picture This Plus with called for threads and treasures and, you know, all that business that you stitch Mirabilias with. And let me get that for you to see. Now I have to figure out which side is up, because with Mirabilias, when you first start them, it's just blobs. So you're like, what am I looking at? That is a better representation of the color. Up close, it's kind of blowing out and graying out. But that is the center. That's my center start along. And I just, one of the things I really like about Mirabilias is that you get like these, what do you call it? Like blobs of color where it's just like chunks of color. So like, and they all meet up. So like eventually you can just do fill-in work. And sometimes that's really nice to have that kind of stitching, you know what I mean? Okay, so that is what I have for Mirabilias. Next is going to be Patriotic. Some of these are just starts, like they were started at a retreat kind of deal. And so they only have a little bit of stitching in them. So the first one I have is, so this was a bag that was given to me, and it has Show Me designs on it. It was given to me at a retreat, and it's got like these little Christmas cowboy boots. And it came with this cute little Ort holder thing, and oh no, this is the Ort holder, and then that one's like a, I don't know what they call it, like a thread bed. Is that what they're called? Anyways, these, okay, so this first design is called Size Matters by Dirty Annie's. And Annie is actually, sorry, she just kicked the table. Annie is actually a friend of mine. As I was saying, Annie is actually a friend of mine, and yeah, so I have quite a bit of her charts as WIPs, and more even kitted that I need to just start because I love them. Anyway, so I'm stitching this on 18 count Aida in the color Meadow by Stitch Me. So it's, I am using just like called for colors from Stash. It calls for 3 colors. It calls for Weeks Dye Works, Porpoise, and Coal, and then Classic Color Works, Wagon Wheel. And I think I have the called for colors mostly, but then I had this like gray gunmetal-y black color for, that would work for Coal. So, and that's how far I got. I mean, it's literally a start that I just started. Okay, so the next one I have is by Plum Street Samplers, and it's called the Heritage Sampler. We've all seen this. If you haven't, she has a whole bunch of these Rhode Island themed or inspired stitches, and I am very patriotic and I love all of them. Even the ones that aren't the patriotic ones, I really like them, and I own all of them except for the new Constellation. I think that's the one I'm missing. Why I'm missing that, I don't know, but it will be added to stash. So that's what it looks like, and I am stitching this on 36 count linen in the color Parchment by Weeks Dye Works, and this is in a Cricklewood Crossing bag everywhere as well. So in my first real floss tube, not like an extra video, I'll show my finishes that I had so far this year. But this is how far I got to. I had to frog the flower, like, because this was started in, I think, 2021 or 2020, something like that. And no, it's 2021. And that version of Cheryl and this version of Cheryl and the amount of experience, I have 5 years difference or 4 years difference of experience in how I stitch. I've learned a lot about myself and like what to do with certain types of cross stitch and how I like to work pieces. And so like I realized that 4 years ago me didn't jive with how I had started this, and so I had to adjust what I had done. And then so I adjusted this area because this was off, like compared to the flower. I don't know what happened because that was 4 years ago me, so I don't remember. And then so the last time I worked on it, I finished the flower, adjusted this border, and then added this part of the star. So that's what I have so far. It's pretty pathetic. I know that I want to finish or get good progress on specific stitches this year. This is one of them. I already finished an old WIP, which if you follow me on Instagram, you should, because I tend to post there. Sorry, I was running because the dog was, she did it again. Dang it. Anyways, I don't know what I was saying, but Heritage Sampler. My dog is, we have this doorstop thing that looks like a dog, and she takes it outside and plays with it, but it's not a toy, but she takes it and steals it. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so my next WIP, this one was one of those stitches that I had used to teach somebody how to stitch. So it's Star Spangled by Little Stitch Girl. And that's how far I got to. I added fabric so I could fit it in 11 by 11 Q-snap. Yeah, and I'm using the DMC conversion and not the overdyed threads for this because I was trying to teach someone who had never stitched before how to stitch. So I was explaining like all the things, you know, like the loop method and the different ways to start, how to finish, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so it's just easier with thread that wouldn't be a tragedy if you had to rip out because it was wrong or whatever, because, you know, overdyed's more expensive. So anyways, so that is Star Spangled. The last Patriotic WIP that I have is a Shepherd's Bush. It's called Liberty Hill. It's one of their exclusive designs that they have for their stores. So they have some charts that they sell to other stores and you can buy them everywhere. And then they have some designs that you can only get if you go to their store. And this one is, this is one of those, and it's called Liberty Hill. It's a small. And it comes, one of the things that's cool about it is it comes with this hand-painted mat. And they also sell the frame there. And this is by, I think, Jill Rensel from Rensel Studios. That's who paints these, because it's like literally around the corner from Shepherd's Bush. And if you don't know what Rensel Studios is, check on Instagram, because your eyes will be like, wow. Okay, so it is using like the kit fabric, kit floss, all that sort of business. And I don't even know exactly what is in the kit. Like, I can't even remember, but I just know that I'm stitching with one strand a la Shepherd's Bush, because they tend to do that. It's 32 count linen in the color Summer Sky. And it says to stitch with one strand over 2 linen threads. And so I am following their instructions, even though it's 32 count. And it has that Shepherd's Bush look, right? That's what it looks like to me. When you look at their stitching, it tends to look kind of sparse. And you're like, why is that? It's because they use a like a 32 count or a 30 count. And then it only has one strand of floss, and so it has, you can see the fabric through it more than you would typically do. Like normally, usually people will stitch with 2 strands on 32 count, but they choose not to do that, or at least not for this stitch. So that is Shepherd's Bush Liberty Hill, and I have this in a little Bella Rose Needleworks little small bag. So that is what I have for Patriotic, and next is going to be summertime, all the summer times. So the next one, this is a Christy Crosshatch Quilts bag. You should follow her on Instagram and FlossTube if you don't already. This is a Mill Hill Buttons and Beads called Citrus. And I am stitching this with kit floss, with the kit beads, and I am using the perforated paper that it came with. Okay, so that's the first one. The next one is, okay, so this is now my oldest WIP. It is a hands-on design piece with collaboration with Priscilla Blaine of Stitching with the Housewives. So this is Chalk on the Farm, and this is Queen Bee Flower Farm. And I am using, this is earlier in my stitching career when I only stitched on Monaco because I was obsessed with the Housewives. And I did everything they did, and when this came out, I was like, oh, that's when I actually want to stitch. It's so cute. And everything that I stitched on was on Monaco. And then at that time, you could not get black Monaco. Like, it wasn't available. So I had to make my own Monaco that was black, and I'm pretty proud of this color. I think it turned out pretty good. And I was stitching this in hand, so that's why the margin is like almost non-existent. So that is the color of the fabric that I did myself. It's 28 count Monaco. And I over dyed it myself with like black grit dye, and then there was like navy in there, I think. So I realized that me and Monaco, that has been shrunk to basically like 50 count or whatever. I mean, the holes are so non-existent on this fabric. I can see them. It's just not pleasurable to work on. And the thread doesn't want to go through the fabric as nicely. So I put it in a Q-snap, and that seemed to help. So the last time I worked on it, I got all these fence posts in. There was one I had to frog because like I miscounted because, you know, counting's hard. And then I got this flower, these flowers here, and then I finished I think the green stitches up here. And so here's the thing. I even have the finishing board that Priscilla used to finish this stitch on. And I want that in my house. Like, I actually like that style. I like, if you were to see the rest of my house, which is a complete disaster because I have 3 boys and a husband and a dog. So it's kind of crazy in here. But I like eclectic things and I like cute things. And to me, the things that Priscilla does is cute. So this finish is not really, like, this is plain to me. I like what Priscilla had done. So I want to finish it that way. I have the board. It's in my laundry room. It's been there since before I even got the chart. I went to Hobby Lobby and bought the thing. So I need to finish this. It's so dumb. So this is one of those stitches this year that I want to finish, and I am determined to get it done. Originally, I thought that I would just finish this top part and turn it into a drum. But then I realized that that's not going to make me happy in the end, that I actually do want the Queen Bee Flower Farm sign. I want the cow. I want the chickens. I want the truck with the quilt. Like, I want, isn't that like, yeah, and it's got Ronnie, her dog that died a long time ago. Like, I want all of that in the stitching. So it's got to get done, folks. So that is actually the story of my one last Monaco piece. And it will get done this year. I am determined that it gets done this year. Now, okay, so the next one I have, gotta find the right bag. Bags all around. Yeah, I can tell, like, when I bought certain things, because I don't prefer vinyl front bags really anymore either. And so, like, I can tell that I bought this a while ago, this bag. So this is Anytown Tiny Town. I'm stitching this on 32 count mushroom or light linen. And I'm stitching it on that fabric because I need it to be plain, because I have an idea in mind for how I'm going to finish it, and I think having just the stitching show and not the fabric will be better for me. So that's how far I am, which is not far at all. I am on the bookstore. So you can see there on the bookstore. I'm leaving the back stitch and the buttons until later. I think that's what I decided to do. Why? I don't know. Or maybe I just had brown on my needle. That could have been it too. I don't know. It's been a little bit since I worked on this. So that is Anytown Tiny Town by Heart and Hand. That is my birthday start for last year, and it was Spring Moon by Plum Street Samplers. And I love this design by her. I think that she went outside of her normal color palette, which I appreciate, because I mean, I love Paulette. You will find out that I love Paulette Stewart. Yeah. So, but I just really enjoyed that she chose a different color palette to choose for this particular design, because it's not like pastel pink, you know, like you think of springtime stitches, they all have like that Easter feel, you know what I mean? And this one does not. And that's what I like about it. So, Spring Moon, I'm stitching mine on 36 count Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit. What happened to my board? Oh, there it is. Found it. And this is, I need to cut my fabric because it's like a cut of fabric that I had used a piece of fabric for something else. See? So I need to measure it and cut it, but that's how far I got to. I stitched, like I said, I started this for my birthday last year. And I think I worked on it for like a week. And I plan to pick this back up around my birthday again this year and work on it. Cause yeah, it's so pretty. I love it. It's so pretty. I love it. You will find that I'm silly. I'm a silly goose. The good kind though. The good silly. Okay, so that is Spring Moon by Plum Street Samplers. So the next one is a Hands Across the Sea. It is the only Hands Across the Sea that I have. And that is because I decided to choose a Hands Across the Sea. And let me clarify, it's the only one that I have is a WIP. Because this one is ginormous. It's huge. Okay, so this is Jane Hopkins 1875 by Hands Across the Sea. People have started this as like a sal within the last year. But I started this pretty much when it came out, and then like a couple months after it came out, and my husband got me all of the Soie d'Alger for Christmas, and then I started it. And I'm stitching mine on, what is this? 36 count linen in the color Ballet Slippers by Fox and Rabbit. And this is like a pink version of Ballet Slippers versus the sometimes orangey version of Ballet Slippers that can sometimes arrive. So this one was more pink, which is exactly what I wanted. And it, again, it's blowing out. It's looking not correct. That's okay. But I started right in the center because, okay, so the next one I have is in this cute bag by Bella Rose Needleworks. It is called Watermelons, I think. Watermelon by, it's a Mill Hill kit, but it's a Debbie Mum kit. So from what I understand, the Debbie Mum kits, they are on an Aida cloth. So they're still beginner friendly, but it's not on perforated paper. So I am stitching this with the kit floss, kit everything. I started it for New Year's Eve 12 by 12, not this year, not 2024, but 2023. And this is how far I got to, and then I didn't work on it after that. And this was a gift from Jeanette. She gave me the bag and the stitch because she's crazy. She's a good friend. So it's a called for fabric. It's some Aida cloth. And it doesn't really say what color it is. So anyway, but it's from the kit. And these are still readily available through Witchelt, which is who is the source of all of the Mill Hill kits. It's still readily available. There's also others in the series that are super cute. There's one that's a lemon. You see that right there? And I love all of them, even the orange one. I like them all. That's the problem. So, but this one's so like summertimey and so Debbie Mum. I love Debbie Mum. Okay, next one is a JBW and Eliza's French Birds 1849. And this is a smaller version of a bigger chart. When JBW released the designs, she released two, and they were like companion charts. And if I recall, and this is the one that I was like, oh, that's gorgeous, I must have it. And I was doing this thing where I decided I was going to stitch on 36 count, but stitch with 2 strands. And I don't know why I was doing that, because for that one right there, that blackbird right there, I did the same thing. That one made sense because I needed it to be like tight and not have any gaps. This one, I don't know why I did that. I think in my brain I was thinking I wanted it to have the look of like wool thread, where it was like fluffy and fat. So this is 36 count, but I have to use 2 strands of floss. I'm using 36 count linen in the color Parchment by Weeks Dye Works with combo of DMC and overdyed threads. So that is how far I got to. Next one is a Satsuma Street. And this is the first pattern I ever bought of Satsuma Street. It's called Garden Cats. And I am stitching this on 36 count Murano, which is like an even weave by Zweigart, in the color Ice. And I'm stitching with 2 strands over 2 threads. So this color Ice is like, it's like a gray blue, like really pale. And I'm using the called for DMC, because I think it might be calling, I can't remember if it calls for DMC or if it called for Cosmo threads, because she likes to use Cosmo threads. No, it calls for DMC. So this one's a DMC chart. So the next one that I have is a chart that I am going to have to restart, because I was in such a hurry to start it that I oriented my fabric incorrectly. So everything I started or stitched will have to be redone. Now, let me show you the design. Let me get this on a board so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah. So it's so dumb. You know, like sometimes you have to just slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? So I made this bag. It's out of Lori Holt Fabrics. Lori Holt Fabric. So this is Summer Quaker. So the Hygge Stitcher, if you don't follow her, you should. HYGGE Stitcher. She likes to have like birthday stitch-alongs, and this is one that she chose not last year. Was it last year? No, it was the year before last that she started Summer Quaker as her birthday start along. And I was like, of course I'm going to start that with you, Samantha, because she's divine. And I think that all of her stitches, so you know themes, right? I have themes. I have an entire theme that is floss tube or friend enabled, and it's longer than all the other things combined because I get very enabled by the floss tubes. Okay, so I'm stitching this on 36 count linen in the color Helix by Picture This Plus. Now, to the average person, you're like, what's the problem? So this is looking blown out and weird and gray, but it's actually blue, so it looks like a blue sky. But the problem is actually that I started it like this. I normally start in the top left of the stitching. So I stitched this corner right there. I stitched that. That's not the correct orientation of the fabric. It's supposed to be like this. And my friends were like, oh, well, why don't you just turn your fabric and then, you know, just keep that stitching. The problem is that this one band of stitching will have the wrong, what am I trying to say? It'll have like the wrong, like the cross will be going the wrong direction. So it'll stand out, like the light will hit it different, and people will be like, why does that look funny? And they won't be able to know why until they look really close that the stitches are going the wrong direction. So I'm going to have to restart it and start correctly in this corner, or I just say forget it and just stitch the center and maybe not do the rest. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided. It's kind of been sitting in the background for a little while because so the last one I started for New Year's Eve 12 by 12, and it was the last block of 2 hours that I had. And so I ended up realizing that I had to frog because I messed up. So I started the frogging process. So this is To Be Thankful by Country Cottage Needleworks. I've had this in my stash for a very, very long time. And I love it, and I've had it kitted. It was just sitting there kitted and not started. And I'm like, okay, we need to start it. So, because it can't get finished until you start it. You know what I mean, Vern? You know what I mean? You got to start it or it's never going to get finished, right? So I figure I'm going to start it. So I did, and it's on 18 count. What is this fabric? It's an 18 count by Color and Cotton. I know that much. My trusty card. Oh, no. 18 count Ada Over the Moon by Color and Cotton. And I'm using some of the called for threads and some that were just in my my stash. So you can kind of see where I started to frog here. My band was off, and I realized when I started to put in, because I think I got all the way over to the other side, or I started to, I don't remember. Yeah, I got all the way to the end. I got all the way to the other side. So like over here, and I started to put the leaves in, and I realized that when I got to this bent, like this bump that is technically the center of the stitch, that it was off. Like I had one more like level than I should have on one side. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I have to frog that, because everything else was correct up until that point. So I did the frogging up until the point where I needed to fix it and restitch before I put it away, because otherwise this would never get worked on. Because who likes frogging? Do you? I don't. Okay, so now we have some Halloween. When I was preparing for this floss tube for this WIP parade, I realized that some of my Halloween fit into other categories, and that's where they ended up. So my Halloween is small, but I have a lot of autumn. I don't know. Especially because if you know me personally, you know that I love Halloween. A lot. I love Halloween a lot. Like cute Halloween. I don't like scary Halloween. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so what do we have? We have, so this was a stitch that I started at Stitch West with my friends. And we call ourselves the Fellowship. So if you hear me refer to them, it's just my friend group. That's what we call ourselves. And I think the only one of us has finished the stitch. And that's Nina, Idaho Stitch Girl. So you should follow her on Instagram, because she has some fun stitches. She does stitching that, like, I don't normally think, like, I watch her, like, I admire what she stitches, but I would never stitch what she stitches. Does that make sense? Except for this, of course. I love this. So, Plum Street Samplers. Horrible. It's in one of those stupid bags that you can't get the stitch out. So, I apologize for the glare. But it's called Halloween Delivery. And I started this at Stitch West, but I wasn't sitting at Stitch West and stitching. I was walking around and talking to 200 people. That's what I did at Stitch West. I didn't stitch. So that's my dog playing with her toy. Sorry. This is in a Cricklewood crossing bag. And I am stitching mine on 36 count Olympia by Mystic Fabrics. This is just a cut that I had. My husband bought me an entire yard of 36 count because I love the fabric. Apparently she wants something. Please hold. Anyways, sorry about that. Okay. So the next one I have, she's trying to pick up her balls. She has two rubbery ball things, and then she has like this squishy like squeak toy, and she's trying to pick them all up in her mouth at the same time. Dogs are weird. Okay. I'm usually a cat person. I typically have only ever had cats. And there were dogs in my home, but they weren't mine. They were somebody else's. So I'm like, what? Is this normal? So the next one I have is Victorian houses number 9 and 15, which are known as like the Halloween houses. And I am stitching them to look like this, where they're one long piece. Oh, here's a better picture. Like that. That's how it's gonna look. I am stitching mine on 32 count linen in the color Murky with the called for DMC, 2 strands over 2 threads. So the issue I am having with this is it's 32 count and I don't typically stitch on 32 count. But this was like working on it 2 days time. This was a bag made by my friend Sherry. She's like the sweetest lady ever. Just one of my favorite people. Okay, and I need to keep this bag here. That bag is so big that it's typically my bag that I take places. So when I'm going to like on vacation or I'm going on a plane, that bag has been to Nashville twice. It's had both cross stitch or applique in it. Plus my friend made it for me. Like that's like the best thing ever. Like it was just a gift, just cause. So, okay. So we have, the next we have is, autumn. So anything that is autumn themed, I stuck in this category. So not straight Halloween, but it's autumn. So, to me, this design, this is a Cricklewood Crossing bag, Anne of Green Gables. And I put Feast of Friendship, which doesn't really match the bag, but to me, Anne of Green Gables is about love and friendship. Feast of Friendship, which, you know, it's by Blackbird Designs. I'm pretty sure this is still available. I know it went out of print for a second, then it came back in print. I don't know. The thing with Blackbird is that Hoffman now has the printing rights for like distribution rights for them. So they they're kind of handling everything for Alma Allen. So like Alma will decide what gets re-released and then then Hoffman handles the reprinting of charts. So I think this is still available. If not, then I apologize, but it's readily available. So you should be able to find it pretty easy. I am stitching mine on 36 count linen in the color Wren by Picture This Plus. I'm using most of the called for colors. I was inspired by Christy Crosshatch Quilts to use the color Wren for my fabric because that's what she used when she stitched this. It's getting blown out and grayed out because of the light, so I apologize. But the color of, I think it calls for like, what is that color that it calls for? It calls for Parchment by Gentle Art for the berry bowl, like the fruit bowl. But it's not going to show up on this fabric first. Second, it would also be more like a gray, and the whole vibe of this design is not gray at all. And I think the whole point is that it's supposed to be like a ceramic fruit bowl or something. And I don't know, Christy used a different color, which I'm not even sure what I chose. What is it? Shaker white. And so I did what she did because I loved the way hers turned out. So I asked her if I could copy her and she said yes. So that is Feast of Friendship by Blackbird Designs. And the last time I worked on this, I just sort of, I pick it up in the fall typically. But I got a lot of these grapes filled in this time and I started on this leaf over here. And probably the next thing I'm going to do is work the border and finish the border out. I'm waiting to do the house because I like stitching houses. So, which is weird because I don't have a lot of charts that have houses in them. I don't know. But I like stitching them. I think it's because it's, you know, fill-in work. And I really am going to enjoy the roof, I think, because it's kind of like a checkerboard, if that'll show up. So I'm looking forward to actually stitching that part, but I want to get the borders done first. It's by Blue Flower. And this was a gift from my friend Laura. She's like a mother to me. The Blue Flower, and it's called Autumn Drum, and I'm pretty sure it was a limited kit from, or it was like what was that called? Like a retreat exclusive with Acorns and Threads in Oregon, and then they were just selling just the chart because they had access to do that because it was exclusive to them. So what I decided is that I am not going to stitch acorns. I'm not going to do the drum around this outside part. I'm going to do something different like wool or something like that for my drum, but I'm going to just stitch the top. And so and she also gave me these cute like make them yourself kind of pins that were from Acorn, or it's called Acorn Pin Kit. So she gave that to me, and so I'm going to use that. And I think I'm using DMC. I think that's what I use, because it was like a bunch of different silks and stuff. And I just was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Because I think when she gave this to me, trying to get Gloriana silk was like a unicorn. So this is 36 count Olympia in the, by Mystic Fabrics. And that's how far I am. Okay, so the next one I have is, this could be considered autumn or summer because of the content. But I put it in autumn. I don't know why, because I did. So this is called Homegrown, and it is by It's So Emma. And this was from the Stitch Quarterly. This is from the Stitch Quarterly. This is what it used to look like. It would be in these canvas bags. And yeah, I don't know. It is stitched on 14 count Aida in the color Washboard by Fabric Flare, and I'm stitching with 2 strands over 1 Aida cloth thread. So that's where I'm at. I'm on the E of home, and I decided that when I get to the sunflower, I am going to use a toile, DMC a toile, and so that the sunflower is like sparkly. Okay. So the next one that I put into the autumn category is by Ink Circles, and it's called Northwoods. So 40 count linen in the color Confederate Gray by Weeks Dye Works. I am using the called for Weeks Dye Works colors, which is literally just 2 colors. It's the color Blaze and the color Caper. And this is the only stitch I have on 40 count. So that's how far I've got. Is a Dimensions Gold kit. And it has been with me, like it's the first Dimensions kit I ever bought for myself. And I thought because it was small, I thought that because it was small that I would, that it would be like less difficult. But the problem is that it's a Dimensions Gold Petite. And if you know anything about those designs and those kits, the Dimensions Gold in general are just more complicated than the regular Dimensions. But as a result, you get more design, you get more definition, you get more clarity, that you can see that it just looks better. But that's because you're having to use more colors, more blends, you're having to backstitch more. You might have to use more specialty like stitches like, you know, French knots or whatever. You might have to couch, etc. So it is called Geisha Beauty. And I am stitching this with Kit Aida and Kit Floss. And the last time I worked on this, I had it out for about a month. So let's do From Far Away. There's some hard creases because of the kit, the way it came in the kit. So, and this is technically a full coverage. So I'm hoping once it's stretched, that will be gone and you won't see it. I still have to do the back stitching for her face. There's 2 stitches in her face that I haven't needed to use the color. So I'm waiting until that gets done, and then I will back stitch her face. And then so you'll be able to see like her eyebrows and her eyelashes and her nose, and there will just be more definition, and her face will come to life. It's kind of like the what are those called? The soda stitch. Like they kind of just look like blobs and you can tell what they are. But then once the back stitch happens, it's like a completely different stitch. That's what this is going to turn into. Because you can see just from this, like there's more definition, right? And you can see what it is, and it's pretty like that. But once the back stitch happens, it's going to be amazing. Okay, so the next one I have is a start or a stitch that has long since been released, but originally I purchased it in 2020 as like the box kit, coming to America. And I started stitching this with my sister, who now doesn't stitch anymore because she's having trouble with her eyesight. So it kind of took the wind out of my sails to want to finish it, but I feel like I need to get it done because I know that I'm not going to finish stitching the whole thing just because I don't think I want to. So, I don't have any, I don't know. I like the top part. So I think what I'm going to do, so I'm stitching this on 36 count. This was the first thing that I stitched 36 count. So I have the top part mostly done. The next one I have, so this is Fall on the Farm. So I am stitching mine long ways. See? I was originally stitching this for a store, but I am not doing that anymore. And so it kind of just got brought into my WIP pile. I am on the 5th of 9 charts. So the center one, which is usually a quilt. So that's where I'm at on this one. I'm stitching it on 32 count linen, 36 count linen. I don't know. I have it in this giant bag because I had it on a giant Q-snap. And I don't remember exactly what I started. I haven't worked on it in a while. Because I haven't needed to. So I'm not sure exactly. I think it's on the called for fabric. My husband left me little love notes in here apparently. So this is on, originally it was called for a Portobello linen from Access Commodities, but I know it's not that. I think it's Country French linen, 32 count, I think is what it is. So yeah, so that is what I have done so far. I have the first 4 blocks completely finished. The first 4. And then the 5th one is obviously in progress. So hopefully I will be able to get back to this eventually and actually enjoy working on it again. I have one more left, and it is by Lindy Stitches. It's called Shredding Tom, and I have the full kit for this. So this has since been released as just a chart, but originally when Stephanie Webb of Lindy Stitches released this as like for a market release, it was like a full kit with like Lady Dot Creates and like the interfacing to make it into a pillow with the chenille trim and like all the stuff. Even the pins, like had the little pins. And I have all of that. I have the full kit. It came with the fabric as well. And so I was stitching this in hand. And then I kind of stopped stitching in hand. So I think that's why I stopped working on it. I should just add fabric to the outside and slap it in a Q-snap, but whatever. It's 32 count taupe even weave using called for strands, two strands of floss over 2 even weave threads. So I'm in the body of Tom. So I'm in the body part of Tom. So anyways, so that is all of my autumnal stitches that I have as a WIP. So the next one that I'm going to work or show you is Christmas and winter. I clumped those together. So I am going to get those ready and then I'll be right back. So the first thing I'm going to show you. So let me get the chart. It is Plum Street Samplers Winter Moon. And I bought the kit from Country Samplers with 36 count Saltbush. I bought the kit from them because I have to kit it anyways. And so I might as well just have them do it for me, especially if they have the called for fabric. So, what I did was I pretty much started it immediately as soon as it came. So, I laid the groundwork. So I have all of the mortar in for all the bricks. And I started doing the door and the windows and that sort of thing. And then I was going to work my way over to the fox and tree. And then go to the other side and do the other tree so that I could then work and do all of these stars because it's full coverage. It's literally just full coverage, white and gray. So yeah. These moon charts are a lot of stitching. They are not very big. It's 149 by 168. So it's kind of big, but like there's a lot of stitching in there. Yeah, so I'm stitching with 1 strand over 2 linen threads. 36 count Saltbush by Fox and Rabbit. And this is accurate. I don't know if it's showing you. It says, cross stitching keeps me out of the psych ward. Yes. And I have mine housed on, it's still on the Q-snap because it's winter. It's not Christmas. So I can still work on this and feel like I'm okay working on it because there is literally snow outside. It's frozen raining outside right now. So, yeah, so I have this as like, this is an active, I'm currently working on it when I need a break from other things that I have to do. That makes sense. This is something that I will work on. That and March wordplay. The next one I have is a stitch that is a snow day stitch. So where it snows, sometimes people will take a stitch and they will use that stitch as their snow day piece. So every day that it snows in their area, then they will stitch on that piece. I live in an area where there's typically a lot of snow all around me, but I live in this weird little hamlet. So we have our own kind of climate where, you know, like 20 minutes away from us, they'll be having a full-on storm. But because we have hills and mountains on 3 sides of us, we don't get, like, it goes around us. You know what I mean? So I use the term snow day piece loosely, meaning that I just started it on the first day we got snow for this last season. I have it on a thing with a Lori Holt keychain thing. I'm stitching this with my friends Sherry and Melanie and Michelle. And there's a few others that decided to join in because they saw I was doing it, so they wanted to do it too. It is an out of print chart. I do have working copy of the chart that was loaned by a friend. So I am using the called for threads. I am stitching mine on 36 count Bee's Knees by Seraphim. So I realize now that I really like stitching on this color fabric. Like Ween Beans. I really like that color fabric. And this Seraphim. It's really pretty. So I've only worked on it a little bit. So I started going up to the roof and working on that and getting that started. Okay, so the next one I have is a PDF chart from Housewives called Monthly Weigh-In for December. I won this in a giveaway. And I am stitching mine on 28 count even weave, not Monaco, that I tea coffee dyed myself. And I'm using the called for floss. It's wrinkled because it was in an oven. So I tea coffee dye. I do it the Priscilla Chelsea way. So if you are interested in learning what that is, they have a whole video about how they dye fabric. Like how they tea coffee fabric. And I just do it that way. Okay, so the next one is a winter start. It is Winter ABCs by Little House Needleworks. And I am stitching it on, so that's what it looks like. So she has 4 charts of this that are seasonal, and then there's one that's called the Stitcher's ABCs. I'm stitching mine on 32 count linen in the color Icelandic Blue by Witchelt. And I think I was stitching this in hand, which I feel like I can get away with. So that's how far I am. And the reason why I kind of stalled on this, it's blowing out really bad, but it's like a beautiful, like pale blue color. It kind of looks like a winter, like a crisp winter day. That's what it reminds me of. Not like outside where it's gray outside right now. But I think why I stalled on this was because it calls for Licorice Red by Classic Colorworks. But right around the time that I started this, Diane Williams, who owns Classic Colorworks and is also the designer behind Little House Needleworks, she released a new color called Caroling, which was a beautiful red color that was named after her mother. And I decided that I really wanted to use this color as the red. I think it'll just be so beautiful. And, I mean, Licorice Red is, I mean, very similar. I think I have some in here. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Yeah, I do. So, like, they are same but different. This is just... Licorice Red is more pink, if that makes sense. This Caroling color is more of like a true red, more, to me, is more like a cardinal, you know, what I think of when I think of winter red colors. I hope that makes sense. So I was very excited when this color was going to be released, and I really thought it would be a beautiful way to use the new color. So that is what I chose to do. And then I have them all in, I plan to stitch all of them. And so I have them all in this bag. That was made by Bella Rose Needleworks. Is a Dimensions Gold Petite. I'm pretty sure it's out of print, so I apologize for that. It's called Believe in Santa. I'm stitching it on 18 count ivory with the kit Ada, which I believe is 18 count. Yeah, 18 count ivory Ada with kit floss. I'm doing with dimensions kits, it'll tell you like with this color, with this with this symbol, you're going to use this color and this many strands. So I'm stitching it according to how the pattern says to. And I am right here where that poinsettia is, right by his knee. That's what this is. Okay, the next one I have is called Crowning the Tree by Blackbird Designs. It's a little stocking. Better picture there. Actually, let me show it here. There we go. So I started this like Thanksgiving Day a couple years ago, and I just have not worked on it really. I am stitching it on a mystery linen by Be Stitch Me. I have no clue what the color is. Let's see. So right now I'm working the top part of the stocking, and I'm doing all of these red stitches right here. They are all pin stitches. So I'm not carrying my thread because I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm thinking. Like, no one's gonna care. I'm almost done though. So I think in my mind, I'm like, well, you're almost to the end, so you might as well just finish it the way you started it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I should just stitch it and not worry about how I'm stitching it, because no one's gonna care but me, right? So anyway, so that is what I have for Crowning the Tree. So the next one I have is Winter Rose Manor by With Thy Needle and Thread. A lot of people are stitching this or have stitched it, or they stitched it when it was a retreat exclusive. I am stitching this with some friends. I am stitching this on 36 count linen in the color Brenda's Brew by R&R Reproduction with 1 strand of floss over 2 linen threads. I need my board so you can see it. I have managed to go all the way around and complete the stitching of the border. So that's, it's still blowing out. Oh, maybe that's better. There we go. So, I have made it all the way around. I am now currently working. So I was working these flowers. There is like a different color that's in between, like in the section of each of the flowers there. So I was doing all of the red colors here, and I made it to the bottom here. There's one more flower. And then I plan to go this direction all the way and do all those berries and then come back up. And then I already finished this. I have to fill in these diamonds, and then the border's done, because I know that if I start on the other parts of the design, like, you know, like the motifs and the, you know, the bowl, the basket on the top, or even the snow, whatever, I'm not going to want to, not going to want to finish. It'll be like a slog to finish it. I am stitching this in hand. I don't know why I am, but I am. I just decided I'm never going to get better at stitching in hand with linen if I don't do it. So this is the piece I'm stitching in hand for linen. And this is a winter piece, so it's something that I can still work on until it's very obvious that it's no longer winter, which to us could be April, because you never know. We could just have a very long winter. Who knows? The next one I have is by It's So Emma and Lori Holt, called Snowballs for Sale. I started this at Stitch West. This is the design. It's originally called for to be on like a like an even weave, but I decided I wasn't going to do that, and I decided I was going to stitch it on. It's still one of Lori Holt's vintage cloths, but it's, I think, 10 count. Yeah, 10 count vintage cloth. That's what she calls it. It's a Zweigart product, and it's in the color Burlap, but it's 10 count versus like a 7 count cloth stern or you know, an even weave or an Aida. It's still an Aida in my opinion. It looks like an Aida, but she's calling it vintage cloth. So I am working on the snowman, I don't know, whatever. And that's how far I got to. So I am, okay, so then the next one, the next one's funny. Okay, so, mercy me. Okay, so I got this super sweet bag from my friend Sherry, different Sherry. I have a few friends named Sherry, but this is a different one. And she stitched this for me for Christmas 2 years ago. And I decided it would be the perfect place to house my cottage garden samplings. I'm trying to find the chart. It's Santa's, it's the houses. What are they called? Fabulous House Series. So I have them all in here. The only one that I didn't buy was the fairy house. I bought the extra Tudor house instead because I didn't really like the fairy house that much. It wasn't one that I preferred, but I loved all the rest of them. So I have Santa's house, and I managed to snag the prehistoric linen, the 36 count prehistoric by Fox and Rabbit. I think it calls for 40 count, but I used 36. And that's how far I got to. What is this called? This is called Comfort and Joy. So Country Sampler had this Plum Street Sampler as their Christmas exclusive that they're going to have for a year. Comfort and Joy. And I loved it. I thought it was so beautiful. And it has a house, but it's a different house than the others. And it's more of like a stone house, kind of like Cinnamon Stars. So I got it kitted up like a full kit with 36 count baked clay by Fox and Rabbit. And that's how far I got to, because I was focusing on Winter Moon. Like I started this to put a start in it. So I actually like, it made sense for me to get an exclusive kit. But yeah. So that is Comfort and Joy by Plum Street Samplers. And I'm using the called for floss that was sent with the kit. And by the way, if you have, and this is a bag from Jordan, the tattoo stitcher. Super cute. Well made too. She does a good job. She sells them on, she doesn't have like a shop. She just sells them on her, she'll post that she's going to be selling bags, and then you kind of just like message her like, me please kind of deal, until they're sold out. So I have a few of her bags. Okay, so that's that one. And then the last Christmas winter is a Satsuma. So my dog is daring me to go over there, and she snagged one of my son's snow gloves from somewhere. He probably didn't put it away. And she is trying to get me to go outside and chase her with it. What a stinker. I'm not falling for it. So I love Satsuma Street. And I've been stitching these for a little while. I already stitched the first one, Partridge and Pear. So this is the second in the 12 Days of Christmas kits that Satsuma Street is doing. She released the 5th one this in 2024, like winter time. So maybe she'll release another one at market. We'll see. It was adorable. They're all adorable. I love all of them. So this is Turtle Doves. I think out of all of them that have been released so far, this is my least favorite. I think it's the combination of the colors that has me not as jazzed, but I still like it. Like it enough to actually stitch it, which, you know. So, that is how far I'm using kit floss, and it comes with like all the sequins and all that jazz. And I am stitching it with the perforated paper that came in the kit. And that is how far I am. I was working on this during dentist appointments and stuff like that. I need to get this done though, because this is supposed to be for 2024. And I didn't make it. So now we're done with all of the Christmas winter. And now we are going to move on to what I call books or pop culture. And so what that basically encompasses is anything that has a literary feel to it, or is something from like a movie or a TV show or whatever, or both, who knows, because some of those apply. So the first thing that I have is, let me see if I can, there's no picture. It was an Etsy design. This is kind of what it's going to look like, but I am stitching this on 10 count vintage cloth. I am going to have some of the stars be this glow in the dark Kreinik. And it's a 10 count vintage cloth in the color black. I only worked on this one day. It was during a baseball game. It was really windy, so I couldn't really work on it a lot because of the wind. But this is how far I got to. And then these are all of the colors. Like very like Nebula Galaxy-esque. And then the white, instead of doing like the white stars, it's going to be the Kreinik that's glow in the dark. So it'll glow in the dark when it's, you know, in his room, which he will love. Okay, so next we have Frogwarts. So Frogwarts is a retreat in a box that that is done by the Black Needle Society. I used to be an affiliate with them back when I had my other channel. But basically they have a store on their website that is older box items. And sometimes they'll have like the first chart from like a series of boxes. Sometimes the design will be like a carrying on piece. Frogwarts is one of those. So Frogwarts is based off of Harry Potter. If you can't tell, I like Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. Maybe that makes me old. I don't know. But I love it. And the fact that there is an entire retreat box that is devoted to the books and movies of Harry Potter, I'm here for it. So, all that to say, there have been 5 boxes released. This year will be book 6. Unfortunately, the pre-sale for that has already lapsed, so I'm sorry, but you can't get it anymore. You can't sign up, but you can still get the first what am I trying to say, pattern. Like the first pattern for year 1 is available on the Black Needle Society Vault store. So I am stitching this on 36 count Olympia by Mystic Fabrics. Surprise, surprise. And this is the one that I have the most work on. So the reason I ended up purchasing this pattern later. And so let me show you what the pattern looks like. That might be helpful for you. This is what the first design looks like. And I love it to bits and pieces. And this is how far I am. So this is where I've got to. And what I am doing is all of the spells are being stitched in the color that matches it. So if it's a red overdyed floss, I'm using a red étoile so that there's a little bit of sparkle for each of those. And then I also added étoile for my snitch or anything that's gold. I'm adding étoile so it is sparkly. I love these charts so much. They're so amazing. I can't wait for year 6 because aside from year 3, book 6 is my favorite. that's year 1. Now I have to find the second pattern, because again, they're 5 charts are put into 2 bags, so I'm having to figure out which bag is what. Okay, here we go. So I just bought this year 2 chart. Oop, you can't see that, can you? I bought it during Frogwarts, because if you sign up for a box, for the Frogwarts box, you have access to previous year's charts. And this is year 2. I don't like spiders, so I actually charted something else to go in the center. I'm actually putting Dobby in there instead. And I already charted that. And Nina, Idaho Stitch Girl, she has already stitched my charting of it. And it turned out pretty cute. So, you know. Okay, so then I am stitching year 2 on 36 count linen in the color Feldspar by Picture This Plus. And I started this as a New Year's Eve 12 by 12. And for my 2-hour block of time. Wow, you guys like blown out as all get out, man. Okay. That's how far I got to. Okay, and then, so I started year 2. So I now have all of the boxes that have been released. They're all started now. So yay me. Okay, so the third one, which is Prisoner of Azkaban, and that is in my Prisoner of Azkaban bag that came in the box for that year. And this one is obviously themed for year 3, so book and movie. So it's got the Night Bus, it has Aunt Marge, it's got a werewolf, Dementor, you know, the Grimm, Time Turner, all the business. So they came up with an alternative color, and it is 36 count linen in the color Night Sky Alicia by Mystic Fabrics. And so that's what I decided to use. And I was recently working on this because my oldest son asked me to work on it. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Oh, I love it. So, this one and this one, this has my nickname, Share Bear, on it. That came in a box. This came in a box. So I started working on Aunt Marge's foot. Tell them Large Marge sent ya. If you know what that is, comment below. So I have the Night Bus done. I added a toile in the headlights so they'd be sparkly. Yeah, so that is year 3. I love it. Oh, I'm such a Potterhead. I don't even care. Judge me or don't. Okay, next one is not in this bag. Next one is year 4, obvi. That is not the pattern. So it is all Goblet of Fire related. So Nina has this one fully finished. She actually, not fully finished, but she's finished the stitching on it. And so it's got like the port key, it's got the Goblet of Fire, and it has all of the tasks represented, which I thought was great. It also has this, which they don't really talk about, this that they don't talk about in the movies. So if you don't know what that is, you need to read the books. And I am not far. So I was not able to work on year 4 as much as I wanted to. Same with year 5. Because of where my life was at the time. I am using 36 count. I'm using the called for color. Cabbage by Mystic Fabrics in 36 count. So that's a pretty good representation-ish. And that's how far I've got to on it. So I have the port key and I started the Quidditch pitch. And obviously the border is the running theme. So you'll notice that so far all of these have like a little thing that sprinkles throughout them. So like this one has little footsteps. So like the Marauders map. this one has spiders because, you know, follow the spiders. Year 1 has Birdie Bots every flavor beans that goes all throughout it. This one is the maze. So if I haven't sold you yet, I don't know what to tell you, because these are amazing charts. Yeah. Katie Landis from Black Needle Society. She is really good at these charts. Okay, so the 5th one has like the villain that everybody loves to hate. So this is for everything year 5. So that is all, it's all from year 5. So we have Grimald Place, we have, you know, prefect badge, we have proclamations, and you'll notice that the color of fabric is pink. Why? Because Umbridge, right? Toadface is telling us that she needs to be represented somehow, and that's how they chose. So this is on the color Dirty Piggy by Bestitch Me, and this is 36 count linen. And when this retreat was happening, it was like a week or 2 weeks or something, or a week and a half before an event that I was running. So I didn't have time to really stitch on it. This was during one Saturday or Sunday that me and the fellowship got together, and that's all I worked on. But that's a better representation of the color of the fabric. I love Bestitch Me. Brandy is a sweet lady also. All right, so that is all of my frogworts. Okay, so my other favorite box people is Forbidden Fiber Co. And Leanne. She's amazing. She's the owner of Forbidden Fiber Co. And she always comes up with super cute stuff. Like I just got one for Stitchless in Seattle, which is based off of Sleepless in Seattle, the movie. And this one is my favorite movie as a child and as an adult, and even my kids like it now because, of course, I showed it to them. The Goonies. It's called, because everything falls out. So these are the colors. I'm trying to see if I have a picture. I don't think I have a picture. It's called Never Say Die. Oh. But there's a bones thing. So the color of fabric that this is Treasure Map by Forbidden Fiber Co. in the color, or the count, 36 count linen. So by now I have put up a picture of what the finished piece looks like. It was a mystery advent for Halloween. So this is what came out. This came from somewhere else, but this was the Chester, not Chester Copperpot, what am I saying? One-Eyed Willy pirate. But this is how far I got to. So this is One-Eyed Willy's ship right here. It's the sails for it. Copper Bones is, if you've watched the movie, you know what that is. And then this is the bag. This is awesome. I was so excited when I saw this. And then it also came with like these cookies that were gluten-free, and it was like, it said like Fratelli's bakery or something like that on it. Yeah. And then there's I love Forbidden Fiber Co. I love their stuff. I love Leanne. I think she's great. I think she's one of those people, her and one of her designer people who designs charts. Her name's Kelly. They make great charts. So, Forbidden Fiber Co. Never Say Die. It's literally a start. Next is a Hocus Pocus sampler. I got this off Etsy. By Play-Doh Squirrel on Etsy. I don't know if it still exists. This one is giant. It is 180 by 238. I am stitching this on 18 count Monster Mash by Picture This Plus. However, I have a weird cut of Monster Mash. As you can see, it's really green. There's hardly any purple on it. Like my sister bought hers at the same time, and hers is a completely different cut than mine. Mine is just straight up green, which is fine. But I am on Winifred right now. So I already did Mary. And then, and this is actually really fun to stitch. So the next one I have is also Forbidden Fiber Co. Jumanji. Now this is not the new Jumanji. This is like old Jumanji. And it has this cute monkey charm, like zipper pull. Super cute. So this is the pattern. And I think it's so cute. I love it. Cross Stitch Adventure. I don't want it to get blown out because the color is kind of fine. So it's like a pale green. I opted for an Aida cloth. I think it's 18 count. Let me see. 18 count in the color Rainforest, and it's by Forbidden Fiber Co. And then this cute minder came with it. That one. The next one is also by Forbidden Fiber Co. And I love Downton Abbey. I love Downton Abbey. Did you know there's gonna be a movie this year? I'm super jazzed. So these are all the floss colors. Sorry, they're kind of smashed. So what this design is called Modern Tidings. And it is Lady Sybil. It's when she's still young and carefree, before the war. And then it's stitched on 36 count Countess, which from what I understand, all of the Downton Abbey pieces will be stitched on that. And I have all of them so far. I have, the next one that came out was Branson, Tom Branson. And then the one that was just released in 2024 was the Dowager Countess. So, like the grandma. So that's what I have so far. It's so blown out. It looks like it's white, but it's actually a beautiful pale blue color. It's very delicate. It's gorgeous. So that is what I have so far. And I am stitching this with, what am I stitching this with? I think one strand. Nope, 2 strands. I don't know. 2 strands of floss over 1 linen thread, or over 2 linen threads, sorry. Modern Tidings by Forbidden Fiber Co. Color Countess by Forbidden Fiber Co. I love Forbidden Fiber Co. This one I think was designed by Kelly King. Yeah. Who is part of the team there at Forbidden Fiber Co. Okay, so the next one is one that is also going to be a modified start or modified finish. It is a, what is this actually called? So it's called The Long Journey. It's hard to find this chart. It's on Etsy. If you have questions, feel free to message me and I can point you to the directions of how to get it. But it's a Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is very highly like controlled in what is allowed to be out there for like product. It's kind of like Harry Potter. So, anyway, so what I'm doing right now is I am working on this section right here only. So I'm working on the one ring and I'm working on Narsil. And my plan is to stitch this and turn it into a drum or something. And I'm only stitching that part. I'm not stitching the whole thing. So we are almost done. We have 3 charts left, 2 charts. So, okay. So this one is also pop culture. And let me find a picture of what it looks like. So this is an Owl Forest embroidery. It is a free chart. I'm pretty sure it's still free on their website. It was released in stages. It's Treasure Island. So right here it's in Cyrillic, but like they have an English version where it says Treasure Island and all of the words are in English. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Pam from Pam and Steph is stitching this as well. And I have all of the parts printed out and put into this binder so that I can keep track of them. Otherwise, they're gonna get lost. I did order the needle minders from Owl Forest. I also ordered the Owl Forest embroidery flosses as well. And then this little thread bling is from my friend Megan. But these are all the Owl Forest embroidery floss. And I'm stitching with 1 strand of floss over 2 linen threads. I'm stitching this on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha by Zweigart. I'm not even going to fully unroll this because I'm not that far. So I have the first in that starts the book. And I started the lantern. So that is Owl Forest Embroidery Treasure Island. Okay, so the last one was a oh, I lied. I have 2 more. I'll do this one. This one was a restart. So if you watched Jeanette and I first WIP parade, I think it was our first video. I had this chart as a WIP, but I was saying I need to restart it because it was on Monaco and I didn't want to stitch it on Monaco, and that's why I hadn't worked on it in years. What I am referring to is the Cricut Collection Sleepy Hollow. Sorry, the glare is bad. Now, it calls for a Blue Moon Java linen by R&R Reproduction, which is really hard to find. It's not technically an out-of-print linen, but it's basically out of print, and it's hard to find. So when I was at market last year, I was talking to Elizabeth from Dames of the Needle, and I was asking her her opinion about what fabric I should get. And she chose this linen for me because she thought that it would be the best one. And she's right. Of course she is. If you haven't tried Dames of the Needle linen, I highly recommend that you buy some. Elizabeth is not only a wonderful person, but she also has beautiful linens and trims and all the things. And she will bend over backwards for people. She is a lovely person. So Dames of the Needle from the Cauldron. She also has an Etsy. But what this is, it's called Almost Rain, 36 count. So I started the bridge that Ichabod is going over. So let me see if I can get this to not be completely washed out. That's a pretty good representation of the color. And I started this I restarted it New Year's Eve 12 by 12. That's how far I got. So that is where I am. And I'm really happy with the color of the fabric. I'm really happy with the linen in general. So I think I will actually work on this again. And this is housed in a Christie Crosshatch Quilts bag. Okay, so now the last one. Dun, 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 dun. It's a Dirty Annie Southern Style chart. And I'm missing the little button that was in here. Uh-oh. I'll have to find it. It's Talk to Me Goose by Dirty Annie's Southern Style. I am stitching mine on 36 count platinum by Weeks Dye Works. I am not using the called for color floss, which is, oh, there it is right there. It is Pea Coat by Weeks Dye Works. I am not using that color. I am using Blue Corn by Classic Colorworks because that's what I had. And this is what I got. This is how far I got on New Year's Eve 12 by 12 this year. Not too bad. And this is a small, and my husband keeps asking me when it's going to be done. So I expect it'll probably be done this year. And this is housed in a Bella Rose Needleworks bag. So that is all, friends. So if you made it to the end of this very long video, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I hope you will subscribe. I hope you will watch my next video when I talk about my picks for market and my WIPs and my finishes and stuff like that. I'll go over the finishes I have for 2024 if I can remember all of them. That was another page that I added to my book of days, was a page for my finishes so I can actually remember what I finish. Because yeah, I don't remember. Once I write it down, I don't remember anymore because that's what the list is for. So anyways, if you have any questions about any of the charts that or linen, or if I forgot to say something about a design, let me know and I can fill you in. But thank you so much for watching, and thanks for giving me a shot, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.